who do we look at as the leap team that's going to step up from the standings? So I'll list the teams that were less than 500 in conference play a season ago. North Carolina.
We don't have that long of a show, Coach.
NC State, Virginia, Cal, Wake Forest, Stanford, and then Florida State, by the way, who was at the bottom of that list with the 1-7 conference record. So who do you think is the leap team? There's one obvious selection there, but who might it be other than the obvious? Well,
so I look at this and I'm like, okay, the top 6, 5 or 6 in the ACC, I looked at it and I was like, I feel very comfortable they're all going to be there again. I mean, I will not be surprised if they all very much stay similar. I think the obvious one is probably Florida State. Like Florida State's not going to be – they're not going to be 1-7. But by the way, I wanted to put some context. I am a positive guy. Like I am going to be positive. I'm going to try to stay in the positive lane. I don't say things just to be stupid. There's plenty of people that will do that. If you want to tune into that, it's probably not your show. But Florida State sucked. Like Florida State was terrible. Like they went 1-7 in the ACC and they lost by an average of 20 points. This is not a terror's row of a league. This is not a league that's super deep, that's super talented. 1-7, lost by an average of 20 points, lost to Notre Dame by 49, to SMU by 26, to North Carolina by 24, to Florida at a conference or out of obviously by 20. Like, I just don't know what the heck that is, what that was. Now, listen, Tony White comes in as your DC, Gus Malzahn comes in as your OC, and so I got to think with the talent and Thomas Castellanos at quarterback, but I think he's good. I got to think, Brent, that they go from being a bottom team, the last team in the ACC, and I can't see him being lower than like 7.
Yes, middle of the pack.
It's got to be a big turnaround, and it has to be Florida State.
Was there anybody else that because to me, I look at this a lot of times with. That's a big leap for them. If they say they get back, 4-4, 5, even 5-3 in ACC play, that's a big leap from where they were a season ago. To me, the leap is, hey, can you be someone that leaps up into the conference championship game discussion?
And you got one of those?
And to me, there's one team that could take a couple game leap especially within conference play, by the way, especially within conference play. And that is the team that is 75 miles to the west of us.
I would go with Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and I could see that because Haynes King's in year 27, or is it 28? How many years has he been? I mean, it feels like it's been a while, homie. Like Haynes King, and he's
year 3 at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about Haynes King? I think if you played like pickup and you just said, hey, we're going to go do a pickup game, like you're not taking him very high. Like he doesn't throw it elite. He doesn't run it elite. Like you'd kind of be like, all right, there's a lot of people that I'm going to pick before that dude. And then, he goes out there and he finds a way to break a tackle and get 20 yards. He finds a way to read it correctly and get yardage and to make the pass a play when you need it. Like it's interesting. But I do think with Hayes, with Rutherford at receiver, like you've got some weapons, you've got an established culture. You also got a coach that I think everybody believes in, of his identity of who he is, and then an OC with Faulkner, who everybody believes in and thinks he's great. So I could see that. I could see that with Georgia Tech, but I'm not going to bank on it. But bro, if I'm looking at the bottom, is Stanford the worst team in college football? Like,
after all the departures, they might be this year.
All the guys, like they got a good DN, bam, he gone. They got a good receiver, bam, he gone. Like transfer portal, like the coach has been there 10 days. They got a new GM and Andrew Luck, who's going to learn how to do this stuff on the fly. Like obviously, it's just tough. I can't imagine that Stanford is going to be very good. So
the other one I thought about was
same
Pitt.
Characters at the top, and on the bottom, I think it's going to be the same characters too.
Yeah, Pitt was the other one I thought about because they started out 7-0 and then lost 6 straight. It's like, okay, you still return your QB, you still return your really good running back in Desmond Reed. Like you've got playmakers. Can you get other things fixed and be a little more consistent and not sort of fall off a cliff and maybe get your two wins better in the league and 5-3 instead of 3-5. But
I think that's easily the best pick when you're looking at all those other teams, because Pat Narduzzi has shown you culture. He's shown you toughness. He's shown you winning with what? With less talent. Like Pat Narduzzi does it consistently. And their offense is always like, oh God, please don't screw me up. Don't screw it up this possession. Like it's always hard to trust their offense. But I mean, they were a stop away from beating Clemson. You know, I mean, Cade Klubnik scramble in the 2-minute drill away from beating Clemson. And they're always competitive. They're always tough. Like if I'm a Pitt native, man, like I'm okay with that, man. Like I'm always in the mix and I'm well coached and, you know, don't typically beat myself. So yeah, Pitt is definitely clearly above all the rest of those other teams. UNC with Bill Belichick, like what is he going to be? I mean, who's going to be their quarterback? Like I know they paid a bunch of money to a kid from New Mexico and like, that's fine. But Max Johnson, who's coming back off of injury, I'm just telling you right now, is a Belichick. If Belichick sits down with him and gets to know that personality, and he comes from Brad Johnson, who's an NFL-style quarterback, he's got some great moxie to him and some toughness to him. Now, that would be interesting to pay all this money to somebody and then not use them. And I don't know if they're going to do that in this day and age, but I have no clue what to expect from Chapel Bill except a hot honey walking the sidelines. That's all I know is going to happen.
Well, I was actually going to bring them up because there's nothing with the rest of this that I look at them and like say, okay, they're interesting or that's going to be intriguing. It's literally just him in terms of watching and how he handles the college game. Now they did bring some kids from Washington with them, and you think, okay, well, they're going to be better defensively. They're going to, in terms of just overall coaching, he's going to bring quality coaching there, but does it lead to anything greater than 3-5 or 6-7? I don't really know.
Well, I don't know either, but if I'm going to bet on it, then I'd say yes, because here's the thing. Being around Bill a little bit, for example, I'm going through all the NFL meetings. I'm literally sitting down as a player, and I go in every meeting door or all these different meeting rooms, and you sit down and they give you your spiel. And like the Cardinals, Danny Green was selling me hard. Like, hey, you want to be a Cardinal? This is going to be a culture. This is our field. He showed me how it rolled out, and it rolled back in that big toaster in Arizona. I'm like, sweet. The Cardinals stink pretty regularly. Like, you're excited though, and I like your excitement. Marvin Lewis, Tony Dungy, but like one room was very different, and that was the Patriots with Belichick. And just he chimed in. He asked questions. He asked about my scar in my head. No one else asked about that. Like no one else asked about the accident when I fell down the steps on a houseboat. Like very detailed oriented. Being around Vrabel and Brewski for all these years and stuff too. Like he's just so buttoned up, and he's forgotten more football than most. Like he's going to stop. If you don't have good quarterback play, he's going to stop you. Like he is absolutely going to stop you. And if you have good quarterback play, I bet you he can confuse them. So I'm really interested. That'll be a fun storyline. Like NC State, Argo said it, like there's a very good chance they fall off a cliff. But I draw the line, you know, Virginia Tech, interesting to watch them to see what they become. Wake Forest, Virginia. Here's the one thing I'll say about Virginia and Tony Elliott. They've not been good, but they, for the first time, are spending resources now and bringing guys in and trying to win. Like for a while, it was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. But they're actually trying to bring people in and trying to make it work. And I think that goes a long way for them to see if they can maybe get past 3 wins in the conference. But a lot of this is the easiest league to pick when it comes to preseason. And it's also the least amount of depth by far in any league. Least amount of teams that I'm going to put on this thing that I think can win it.
And I think that might actually come to fruition when you look at college football playoff projections, which we'll do at the end.